Well, Jerry mentioned Obamacare, the healthcare law. Well, that's another casualty of that law is President Obama's poll numbers. Wall Street Journal's Neil King joins us now with the skinny on this from Washington. Neil, there have been large numbers of bungles with the rollout of this law, and President Obama is paying the price.
He is very clearly, his disapprovals have hit his highest level ever, 54%. And I'd say more disturbing in a lot of ways for his presidency going into the next year is that a lot of the characteristics that really kept him afloat in terms of approval in his first term, trustworthiness, likability, general perception of leadership, that he's taken a real hit this year, particularly in the last few months, on all of those characteristics. And this is one of those polls where you see a president's approval ratings go down. Sometimes there's a little bit of mystery. In this case, absolutely no mystery at all. I think it was about 60% of the people when we asked, what's the main thing that's guided your perceptions of the president this year, they said healthcare.
We've seen some graphics on the screen there. Disapprove of President Obama's job performance, 54%. Was the Affordable Care Act a good idea or a bad idea? 50% saying it's a bad idea. And what's the most important thing shaping your view? Surprisingly, it's not the economy. That's only a quarter of people. It's 58% healthcare law. They're really, I mean, it's really crystal clear here, right? Crystal clear that people don't like the way this was rolled out.
You know, it's true, and it's interesting because we asked, do you think that the healthcare law, as it's come out so far, is having, any impact on you, your family, in terms of their health coverage? And very small numbers of people, understandably, say that that's the case, but large numbers say that it's having an impact on the healthcare system overall. There's a lot of concern about what it might mean for the economy. But behind all this, interestingly, and this shows how little of a break the president's getting, there's a lot of optimism that people expressed about the economy, not only now, but going into next year, and about their own finances. And one thing that was surprising is that about 80% of the people were even pleased or satisfied with their own health care coverage. But at the same time, Obama's own handling, for instance, of the economy, his disapprovals went up on that front too.
So, I mean, there's a note in the story in today's Wall Street Journal. It says 75% would say the economy will improve or stay the same next year. What is interesting is we normally expect people, I think, and you look at the polls more closely than I do, to vote their pocketbook, what affects them. But apparently when this poll went out, they're thinking more broadly than just, okay, I'm going to do better, but this really doesn't do well.
I think it's also just a profound dissatisfaction. This is no surprise about how things are going in Washington. Maybe this budget deal that Jerry was talking about might make some small difference in that front. But we also asked people, is this one of the best or one of the worst Congresses you've ever seen? Over half said one of the worst. Among the people that were 65 or older, which is to say people who have seen a lot of Congresses, almost 70% of those people said this was one of the worst Congresses ever. So there's just a lot of sort of despair about how things are going in Washington, even if they think the economy happening in their own area is beginning to improve.
And now, Neil, you've seen a lot of these things. You've seen a lot of cycles in Washington. Is it possible that, or probable that the president can dig himself out of this hole?
That was also something we asked about. A large majority of people thought this was the kind of setback in the last few weeks or months that presidents don't recover from. The interesting thing, and we don't know how this is going to proceed, and particularly on the healthcare front, things could begin to look a lot better fairly quickly, and perceptions could change as a result of that. But at the moment, Obama is on an amazingly similar track as Bush was at this moment in his second term. And Bush's approval ratings continue to go down. He never really recovered. Whether or not Obama is on that same track, we're going to see, and we'll probably have a pretty good feel by the first quarter of next year.
Okay. Well, I know we'll talk to you before the third quarter of next year. Thank you very much. Neil King of the Wall Street Journal.